Hello and welcome. Globalism's genocidal war on humanity intensifies via mounting assaults compounded by excessive censorship and increasingly fascistic oppression. Everywhere worldwide we see the controlled demolition of society gathering momentum at an alarming pace. Despite a massive and ever-growing body of evidence, an unfortunate percentage lacks the intellectual honesty and moral integrity to face these undeniable facts. Each day, an overabundance of unquestionable evidence stares them in the face, from shuttered shops, regional cities in rapid decline, runaway bank branch closures, country towns and city precincts deliberately made untenable. As reported ad nauseum, globalism's Agenda 2030 forges towards its anti-human objective, with inadequate resistance defying its evil endeavour, while criminal governments lock up whistleblowers for fear of facing justice themselves. While things slowly change in lockstep with a global awakening regarding this perilous state of affairs, the significant challenge remains of expediting the complete understanding of the wider community. The first and foremost goal of tyranny is gaining control of the courts and judicial system, a fateful circumstance stealthily accomplished decades ago with very few, even judicial insiders, being aware of the clandestine takeover. There are many nefarious methods of achieving this level of control that, once in place, is virtually impossible to dislodge or overcome. I'm often asked why there are so many compromised judges and senior law enforcement officials. The simple reason is their criminally perverse misconduct makes them easily controllable. A compelling motivation among pedophiles is to protect one another from discovery and exposure. That said, with mainstream media so thoroughly corrupted, the only hope of truthful exposure is through independent social media channels like this one. Hence, crime boss Albanese's frantic efforts to crush all forms of free speech, stifle legitimate political dissent, and repeatedly imprison truthful whistleblowers. The same evidence obfuscation applies to runaway jab-inflicted injuries and deaths that all guilty parties desperately try to conceal but routinely fail with their pathetically transparent lies. This further explains why the deep state architects of evil always target the judiciary and police as their primary objective. All the while, the reins of political and judicial control remain in the hands of these inhumane servants of Satan. Nothing can change, but change it inevitably shall, as the irrepressible nature of truth will soon assert. This long overdue improvement can be significantly accelerated by a sudden and dramatic increase in awake and aware human souls actively joining the effort to overcome evil at any cost. As previously reported, corruption within the judiciary poses dangers to civilized society, usurping the rule of law and obliterating human rights. Again, I highlight the multifaceted threats associated with our irredeemably corrupted judicial system. Surveys indicate that a substantial portion of the global population perceives their judicial systems as irredeemably corrupt. For instance, Transparency International reported that nearly 46% of respondents viewed their judiciary as compromised worldwide. In regions such as Bangladesh, this perception is alarmingly high, with 88% of individuals experiencing punitive corruption in court dealings. Such widespread distrust challenges the legitimacy of judicial authorities and highlights the ineffectiveness of courts upholding justice and protecting citizens' rights. In short, there is no protection whatsoever, and justice has long since been obliterated. Corruption in judicial processes manifests in various forms, including bribery, blackmail, extortion, and political interference. Court officials accept bribes to manipulate case outcomes or delay proceedings, while judges face extreme pressure from political actors and blackmailers to rule as directed from the shadows. As evidenced in the Monica Smith case, financially crippling lawfare is maliciously contrived to destroy justice even when cases against government criminality are won, as indeed Monica's certainly was. The financial burden of prolonged legal battles overwhelms individuals, deterring others from pursuing similar criminal outrage. While highlighting important issues, the legal outcomes of this case are inconsequential, other than intensified awareness regarding excessive COVID responses and human rights abuse. Overall, the case served as a focal point for debates on civil liberties during the scamdemic, but it also illustrated the massive challenges of legally confronting corrupt government criminal actions. This rank environment cements impunity for corrupt officials by shielding repeat offenders like the rogue TGA for starters. The result presents an insurmountable barrier to achieving justice for victims and a damaging failure to sanction wrongdoing effectively. The ramifications of judicial corruption extend deep into the realm of human rights. Corrupt practices deprive societies of essential resources that should be allocated for useful services like naturopathic healthcare and meaningful education unpolluted by satanic, woke and transgender ideologies. Moreover, when the judiciary fails to act impartially due to corruption, it eradicates the right to a fair trial and vanquishes protections for vulnerable populations. Freedom fighters everywhere emphasise that an independent judiciary is crucial for safeguarding human rights. Without it, citizens endure ongoing and ever worsening abuses by the state. The discretionary powers accorded to judges result in egregious abuses without oversight mechanisms. Additionally, entrenched corruption creates a culture where unethical behaviour is normalised, making reform impossible. Addressing corruption requires political will and systemic changes within judicial institutions, but unsurprisingly, the system is tightly rigged to ensure this cannot happen. The extreme dangers inherent in a corrupted judiciary such as Australia's are profound and far-reaching. As this globalist takeover progressively erodes trust, blocks justice and tramples human rights, it's ever more imperative for our long-suffering communities to find a way of restoring judicial integrity as the cornerstone of democracy. This massive problem cannot be fixed until the public fully understands how badly it's corrupted, its inestimable importance, and responds according to the threat level. Another topic is the controversy surrounding Prime Minister Anthony Albanese's endorsement of a children's book and its entirely inappropriate content, sparking heated debate. The book, described as disgusting by many, provoked angered concerns among parents and educators, citing its unsuitability for young readers. The themes presented are offensively inappropriate for children and negatively affect their development and understanding of sensitive topics. Albanese's coarsely insensitive endorsement triggered a severe backlash from the majority, asserting his objectionable support sends a deeply troubling message about what the government deems acceptable in children's literature. This outrage is compounded by broader discussions about the impact of media and literature on youth, particularly in the light of ongoing debates around social media and its effects on mental health. In a typically disingenuous response, Albanese hypocritically stresses the importance of fostering a safe environment for children, blithely ignoring that his actions in a satanic inversion of truth accomplish the complete opposite. His reprehensible involvement with this unacceptably perverse book questions the authenticity of his stance on child safety and content appropriateness. Artistic expression in literature does not provide a license to provide unsuitable material for minors. The responsibility of public figures to safeguard children from harmful content is paramount, and this egregious failure is wholly unacceptable. So too is the malicious contempt this globalist puppet has for the Australian public. My limited powers of description cannot define the depth and scope of such unconscionable treason. This grifting ogre and his parliamentary gangsters are unfit for purpose, being history's worst example of spiritual debasement in high office. It's the sacred duty of all Australians to secure non-violent means of ridding the nation of the scourge of seditious DEI, disruptive wokeism, and the satanic cult of transgender ideology. We must focus on restoring judicial integrity to begin draining this putrid swamp. Every one of us must work urgently towards achieving this essential change. Thank you for watching.